Hi. Well, as you can see, it's time for the holidays. And it being time for the holidays means that it's time for holiday stress. Okay, so I saw a very funny meme there. Hey, Bruce, where there's two different kinds of people when it comes to the holidays, and one was the elf from Elf just jumping up and down going yay, and the other was the king from one of the kings from the Return of the King, or one of the Lord of the Rings movies, saying, and so it begins, very gloomy. I think even if you're the elf jumping up and down, thrilled with what's going on, there's some stress there. But I know many, many, many more people for whom that sort of, oh no, here it comes, look out, reaction is bigger. And so for everyone, I wanted to talk about ways you can use tapping to lower your stress when it comes to the holidays. So that's what today's all about. I'm going to cover a number of different types of stress and suggest some different ways to tap. And at the end, we'll do a little bit of tapping. So let's see, where are we at this point? I think probably the biggest stress I hear about is the one that comes from just having too much to do to make the holidays happen. I mean, if you've got a to-do list that goes up from here to the next room to make it happen, then you know what I'm talking about. You can just feel totally overwhelmed. And so what you can do is tap directly on feeling overwhelmed. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You don't have to say, oh yeah, but it's just this time of the year. Or, no, just say, I'm overwhelmed. So how that works is you're tapping on the side of your head and you say, even though I feel overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then you can say that a couple more times. And then you could go around talking about how it feels. There's too much to do. I can't get it all done. Oh, there's so much pressure on me from this. I'm so overwhelmed. And it doesn't have to be overwhelmed. Maybe you say I'm stressed, or I'm tapped out, or whatever you're feeling. You talk about your feelings. And one thing that I find to be particularly helpful on a stress like this is to list all the things you have to do while tapping. I've got to get the gifts. I need to wrap the gifts. I need to make sure I've scheduled the hotel, whatever it is that you need to do. You go through your list and you tap at each point as you think about all the stuff you have to do, and give it some time. Because as you do this, you're going to remember more things. You just keep tapping, okay? And at first, you might find your stress going up as you realize all there is to do. I highly recommend, this is a little aside here, I highly recommend you write out the things that you have to do, because trying to hold it in your brain, it adds stress to your system. So when you get it all out in one location, the dinner napkin here, and then a little scribble over on here, and then a little bit on your computer. Now put it all in one place. So the only thing you have to remember is where you put the list. Okay, that can lower your stress right there. But simply having that list can still be too long. It still can feel stressful. So by tapping, you can, and after the initial bump, you can lower that stress. And the interesting thing that will happen is, as the stress lowers enough, you're going to notice what's called cognitive shifts. This is changes in the way that you're thinking. And it can show up in many different ways. I mean, perhaps you'll realize, well, I don't need to do all of the things on this list. I can cross off a few of these things. I don't need to do them. Maybe I don't need to make all of our 5 traditional family recipes for the dinner. I'll just make 3, and we'll make do without those 2 that no one much likes anyway. Or, speaking of food, maybe you'll decide that you'll buy some of the food and focus your efforts on just the really beloved dishes that you can make. By the way, I read somewhere that people in Paris who know a little thing about throwing a dinner party, apparently, one of the things that they will often do is simply buy some pieces for their dinner and then plate them in their kitchen. And then they'll just cook one meal, one entree or something, and the rest comes from restaurants and stores around the place, and they bring them all out on their own dishes, and that's fine. And so if they can do it, I think you can do it too. Okay. You might decide as you're tapping and lowering your stress that, there's some of the stuff on my list that I can delegate. I can call it a potluck instead of I'm hosting dinner, and other people will bring some things because I'm way into food today. I guess I'm hungry. I don't know. Or maybe delegate the wrapping of the presents. You can take gifts to the professionals at the mall to wrap them for you. I tell you, when I was growing up, the Kiwanis would always have a stand at the mall, and you'd bring your gifts to them and they would wrap them up for a donation, and it was money well spent. I mean, I'm always surprised at how long it takes me to wrap presents. You'd think, oh yeah, that's a minor thing. No, it takes a lot of time. And if you can have somebody else wrap them up for you, you've just easily bought yourself a lot of time to use for things that may be worth more to you. Or maybe you'll realize that, hey, what I should do is I should just have holiday bags, and I will wrap them up in a little tissue paper, put them in the bag, and boom, it's done. And within our family, we'll just save the bags from year to year. It will save me a lot of time and save us money overall. And you'll start thinking differently. Those are the cognitive shifts. Maybe you'll realize you don't need to do some things. You can just drop them off the list. Maybe I don't need to clean the whole house from top to bottom. Just clean the rooms that people are going to be in. That's good enough. Maybe I don't even have to do that because most people won't even notice. However you're going to do it, you'll notice that your brain starts realizing you don't have to do everything the way you think you have to do it. And then that comes with those cognitive shifts, which come as you lower your stress. So you can tap on, like I just said, tapping on your whole list, but you can also do something where you just tap when you start to feel stressed out. Just, the little stress is creeping up on you. Just tap. Oh, there it comes. Okay. I can breathe through this. I'm okay. Maybe you'll decide that you'll tap regularly. You just know that you get stressed during this month of December. And so you're going to tap every day at about 7 o'clock. You'll just tap for 5 minutes and just tap. You won't even think about things. Whatever's there in your head will be tapped on. That's a really great way to tap to lower stress in general. So, you can be prepared for these things. You can tap as they come up. You can tap in advance. So that's some ways you can tap for the overwhelm that comes with the season. Sometimes the overwhelm is less about your to-do list and more about the money. And this is top of my mind these days because I have this new money blockbuster group. And I'm hearing from people about all the ways that money is a stressor in their life. So you can, if you're feeling overwhelmed about all the money that's going into the holiday, into buying the presents, into the travel, into whatever, you can go ahead and tap on feeling overwhelmed just exactly the same way. You tap, even though I'm feeling really overwhelmed about this, I don't have enough money for this, I'm just overwhelmed. And then you go around, whatever comes to mind, let it out. Tap and release the stress, release the thoughts, release the feelings. You just say it all out as you tap. You can tap on, like you did the tapping for the to-do list. You could tap on your have to buy list. I've got to get a present for cousin Johnny, and Aunt Sue needs this, and I should be getting a really nice thing for my brother, but I don't know if okay, just tap on everything that you've got on your to buy list, okay? And again, what you're going to notice is as you do that, you might have some cognitive shifts. I can't promise you them, but they happen really frequently. And those cognitive shifts will help you to look at what's going on in a different way, and that can lead to different solutions. So maybe you'll realize you don't need to buy so much or spend so much on the different presents. They don't have to be so expensive. Maybe some things you could do as homemade gifts. If you're crafty, by all means, go ahead and do it. I'm not, but if you are, go ahead. You might decide that, maybe for friends, I'm going to bake a huge batch of different kinds of cookies, or I'll make candies, and I will give them homemade cookies and fudge. Great. I got to tell you, that's a lovely gift. And that might actually, lower some stress about money. Maybe you could talk to some people. As you lower your stress, you might say, gosh, my old friends from high school and I've been exchanging gifts forever. It's such a drain to figure out what they want. I don't know what they want these days. I don't know what they need. I love them dearly, but we're not in each other's lives as much anymore. And maybe you'll do something I've done with my high school friends. We did this years ago, and it's been great. We talked about how we could just exchange a Christmas ornament, because we all celebrate Christmas. And we would give each other a Christmas ornament every year. And that way it'd be kind of fun. We know we don't have to figure out what's going on in their lives. We'll just look for what's out there that we love and send it. So maybe you'll decide to do something like that. Or you'll talk to someone and decide, gee, let's not exchange gifts at all this year. Let's exchange a card. Let's have a phone call. Let's go out for dinner together. And you'll change it so the money issue is not the same for you. And again, when the stress is on, that really thinking part of your brain, the creative side that can come up with different solutions, goes on hiatus. I mean, it's hibernating when you're stressed out. And when you tap, you kind of release the pressure that allows that part of your brain to open up again and come up with these ideas that can make a real difference for you. So again, you notice those cognitive shifts. And perhaps when you've lowered your stress, you'll be able to actually pay attention to all those lists out there in the articles about how to lower your stress around the holidays, which right now is just like one more thing to do. But when you've lowered your stress, then you can say, yes, I can do that. I can skip that. Okay. And I'm going to put the plug in here because it's important, and I've seen it with my clients. If the money stress happens a lot, maybe not just around the holidays, or by the time the holidays roll around every year, it's a big stressor, or come January, you realized you spent way too much. If that happens a lot, I consider giving yourself the gift of this group that I offer. 8 sessions to change your relationship with money so that you can stop having to spend too much, or maybe allow yourself to have more money coming in. It works on both sides there. Consider it. Maybe you ask somebody else to give that to you as a gift for the holidays. And that way you get to start out 2020 on the right foot. Anyway, where was I going? Okay, so there's stress around money at the holidays. There's also stress from relationships. And this is just such a biggie for people. I think maybe this is the biggie for holiday stress. At least it's the one I hear about the most often. So if you're anticipating having a big fight with someone, or, oh, it's going to be so tense around the dinner table again when we all get together, or, oh, they're going to bring up that topic again. You can, on any of these things, you can tap right now. So let's say you're assuming, mom gets tense every holiday, and then we're all tense, and then it's just a miserable dinner. Well, you can tap for that right now. I just know it's going to be tense, and feel your own shoulders come down as you just tap on how I'm worried about that, or I'm stressed about it right now, knowing she's going to be stressed. Just tap on what you're feeling. And again, lower the stress. And if you feel it coming up, you can just tap when it comes up, or you can tap, what is that word, prophylactically, every day at 8 a.m. I'm just going to do a quick round of tapping on holiday stress. Or I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to tap. That can lower your stress levels too. Maybe what bugs you is that, Aunt Sue's going to comment on my not being married again. She does it every year. I'm so tired of that. Go ahead, tap on it in advance. Or, you know what? I just know it. He's been doing it in the last 3 years. Uncle Bob is going to start an argument about politics again and ruin everyone's meal. And okay. So, I mean, you can see where these different stressors come from, and you can tap on them now. Whatever you're thinking and feeling is what you tap on. So do it now, or maybe you've done it now and it still comes up on the drive to dinner. So go ahead, don't tap while you're driving, just pull off to the side of the road, or, stop a block before you get there and do a quick round of tapping on how you're feeling. Lower your stress so that you can go in and start it off in a better place. It's really interesting when you lower, I'll speak for myself and other people who've talked to me about this. When I lower my own stress around a topic or an issue, quite often I will notice that the event that happens the same way every year happens differently this year. Don't know why. Maybe it's because of the way I show up. Maybe it's because my expectations have created things to go that way. Oh, hey, Debbie. So I don't know why it changes, but it can change how, I shouldn't put it this way, but this is the way I think of it. It can change how other people act when I change how I'm feeling. So the tapping can really change how the family dinner goes. So if that is one of your stressors, I would say tap now on it. Tap whenever you feel stressed out thinking about it. Tap when you right before you get there. And even if you're there and something comes up and it triggers you, just go in the bathroom and tap for a round or two, just to come back to centered place and feeling better. Okay. So again, you're probably going to see some cognitive shifts there, not promising it, but very well. Yeah, right, Debbie. Very well could see the cognitive shifts. So maybe you'll start thinking, yeah, Uncle Bob does always start that argument around politics, but he's been really lonely since his wife died. Maybe he just needs to feel important. So you might see it differently. Or maybe it'll seem the same. Oh, it's just Uncle Bob being Uncle Bob, and he's going to be that way. Oh, I have an Uncle Bob. I shouldn't talk that way. Uncle Bart. I don't have an Uncle Bart. Uncle Bart just does that all the time. That's just the way he is. Maybe you'll see it as it's just him. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to get hooked this time. And you just won't, because you're no longer so connected. Hey, Laurel, good to see you. So you can tap on all the ways that the stresses from the relationships from the holidays come up for you. And you're going to see the different ways of thinking about things. So in addition to seeing your family members and friends and whoever you're seeing and getting stresses from, you see them differently, but you also might see that you have some options you didn't realize before. And maybe you'll just realize, I don't have to stay so long. I'll tell him I have something else that I need to go to. I'll be done in 2 hours. I'm out of there. Or maybe you'll say, you know what? This is the year I'm not going at all. And that's okay. And when you lower your stress, you can see those options in a way that maybe you really can't take them in when you have that stress level too high. All right. Here is a stress that happens very often at this time of year. That is, it's the grief from someone you've lost. So if you've lost a loved one, particularly if you lost them around this time of year, when the holidays come up, it can be really hard. And that can be both, if someone just died in this past year, this is your first holiday without them, that can be very stressful as you're trying to do it the right way, and yet you can't because they're not here. But it can also be that way for someone you lost many years ago, and yet this time of year, it really brings it up for you. And I've seen that with clients. I've worked with people to get unstuck in their grief, and tapping is good for that. Just tapping on the way you feel. You might need a professional. I'm not going to say that just tapping is going to help on your own. It might, though. But if it doesn't, find a professional, because no one should be stuck in their grief ever. But even if you've had lost someone this year and it's just very fresh, and that's okay. That's normal, by the way. Tapping can still help just lower the strength of your sadness or anger or whatever the emotions that come up with having lost someone. And yeah, sadness is the one we all think about, but it can also come up as anger and even guilt. Guilt is one of those common things that come up with when you've lost someone. And I think of it as free-floating guilt. So you feel guilty and you look around for, why am I feeling guilty? And usually you'll find something, even though it really isn't a cause for guilt. But you got to explain where this feeling's coming from. And I find tapping really great to release guilt, this free-floating guilt. So you might try that. So again, tapping is not going to get rid of your grief. I'm sorry. It's your grief is important. It's a process you need to go through, and it is a way that you honor the person you've lost. However, if it's this high and it's preventing you from connecting with other people, the tapping can help you lower it to a level that is more manageable And if you're stuck, if you just haven't been able to get through it, it can help you move through. And again, if you need one, get a professional. But tapping is good for holiday grief and stress too. Okay. So I think I'm probably just scratching the surface here for all the ways that you can get stressed out at the holidays. I want to end with one that I think causes people a lot more stress than maybe they recognize. And that's having expectations of how a holiday is supposed to be. And when you have the expectations that it's supposed to be this way and it's only this way, you can feel really bad and stressed out. I have to make it better so that it meets my ideal expectation. We don't need that. Let's not have that. Tap along with me and see if we can release some of that, okay? So just take 2 fingers, tap where I tap. You're tapping about as hard as if you were drumming your fingers on the tabletop. So don't hurt yourself, but don't whiff it either. Just make it solid. And if any point hurts, skip that point, okay? Just repeat after me. Even though I'm stressed out because I have to make the holidays be perfect, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed out because I've got to make it right, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though the holidays are supposed to be wonderful, I've got to make them wonderful. I deeply and completely accept myself, whether I achieve that or not. Okay, now tapping on your eyebrow point. The holidays are supposed to be a certain way. It's supposed to be like a Norman Rockwell painting filled with the whole family. And we're all supposed to get along and love each other and be nice to each other. But I don't always have that. Maybe I don't even want that. Maybe it's okay not to have the perfect family at the holidays. Maybe it's okay that our family is more challenging. But I have to have perfect presents. I have to get just the right gift for everybody. I have to make everyone happy. And I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't even always know what to get anybody. And no one ever gets me what I truly want either, do they? Maybe I don't need to be so stressed about presents. It's the thought that counts, right? I will buy something with love and give it with love. And if the best I can manage is buy it and give it from duty, that's okay too. Oh, but don't get me started about New Year's. It's supposed to be so romantic. It's supposed to be so fun. I'm supposed to be out with all these friends at a party, having the time of my life. It never works out that way for me. And I'm not the only one. Some people just don't do anything on New Year's Eve. Go to bed early. I could do that too. Or just accept, whatever party I'm at, it's okay. Even though it's not perfect. No, I'm supposed to feel happy all the time. I'm supposed to be filled with holiday cheer. But I'm not. I'm sad. I'm tired. I am stressed. Sometimes I just wish I could skip the entire month. What if it were okay not to have it all? What if I were allowed not to have the perfect holiday? What if I could let myself just appreciate the holiday that I have? Not the one I'm supposed to have. What if I could just enjoy those occasional flashes of good? And that would be enough. Okay, that was just some stuff that I put together, but whatever's going on with you, whatever your expectations for the holiday are, try some tapping on them and allowing yourself to have a holiday that's not perfect, that's not going to measure up. Because A, it never happens that way. And B, it's not your job. Really isn't your job to make everybody else's holiday perfect or even your own. It's just to be here and appreciate what you have. So I want you to know I have one more Facebook Live before I take 2 weeks off at the end of the 2019, and I'm happy to do in this last Facebook Live something that you particularly want me to tap on or talk about. I'm happy to do that, and sure, it can be holiday stresses. If there's something particularly that you were looking for that I didn't do in this one, let me know. We'll do a little tapping on it together. But it doesn't have to be. It could be about something else. And if I get more than one, that'll be great because I'll have some more things to talk about in 2020. But in the meantime, I want to wish you ease in your holiday preparations and also wish you a holiday season that is meaningful to you. Okay? I'm going to wish you happy tapping now because I have to go and bake the third set of a double batch of brownies for the different events that are happening this month. That's what's next for me, but it'll be okay. Okay, and it'll be okay for you. Happy tapping. Okay, and here we are, and I can't get to my camera, and I can't turn it off, but that's okay because nothing's perfect, and that's okay too. Bye.